being able to like play around his ult makes him a really strong hero. I mean, I'm pretty happy to have like another tank shredder in the game. I feel like the meta is so tank heavy, and I think he has like a lot of damage output and a lot of potential to really shine in this meta.
No one can stop death.
Pretty much the dopest line you could ever have. No one can stop death. Decapitate some nerds on out. Malthael. He's pretty scary, but, you know, Roll20 hasn't been too afraid of him.
Yeah, not really. But I also have to question a bit, you know, during the draft of the last map, the one thing that you threw out at the end is, okay, Roll20 is known for their Medivh and they are known for their Diablo. And apparently Naventic not respecting it enough, saying, hey, we can deal with that.
Yeah.
Apparently they can't. And it's not only the combo with the Leyline Seal into the Apocalypse, just the play around the portals and then the constant engages that we've seen from Justin, getting the stuns into walls and dropping targets all over the place. At no point did it really seem as if Naventic was able to deal with that in the slightest. So was it just them underestimating it, or just simply not thinking about, hey, they will pick up the Diablo on the last pick?
If I was to guess, I would guess that it is just a lack of respect for it. The more than it would be a... I think it's a little bit of we do think we have an answer, but it's also just a lack of appreciation. When you have a new roster, you know, you have new hopes for your squad, what you can get away with, and you could just be like, we saw MVP be able to deal with that. We can do it ourselves. Because, I mean, it showed to be a mortal composition at the midseason brawl. Either way, we do have the 4th map in what could possibly be the final game here, depending on the results. We're going to Sky Temple, chosen by Naventic.
The original Lag F map.
It
is! It's true.
You're not wrong.
Top forward.
I just
forward.
love that the first time I think you've had the opportunity to cast Zuna, and it had to have been at least like 6, 7 months, 8 months at this point. Yeah. You go, oh, the original Lag F. Like the first minute you can drop the Lag F meme, it's out.
You have to understand, I was waiting for that moment for 4 maps now. Every single time we went to this screen, I was hoping for Sky.
I'm just glad we didn't let you down. That's all, you know, we're just here to support the memes, Calder.
I was actually afraid that Naventic banned it.
As you can tell, once you get about 4 best of 5s deep, Calder has gone a little cuckoo here.
We have a Dehaka again for Roll20, so let's focus on the important things. Stop laughing. We have a draft that we didn't talk about.
Well, here, I can give you the top-tier analysis. So,
Uthai's banned, Genji's banned, Dehaka's taken.
Yeah, and it turns out you've seen these heroes before. We knew that those probably would be the high focus. The biggest variable here is that Dehaka was picked instead of a noob, or the Genji, which again, he was banned out, and the Uther was banned out. The biggest thing is Tass wasn't picked and a new Barak wasn't picked. That's the conversation we have at hand.
Roll20 has prioritized the Dehaka every single time over those two.
Yes,
the Tassadar pick and the Tassadar first pick, that was solely Naventic the entire time. And they can still pull it off. If they actually want to go into the double support, then they have a good shot here.
It is a map where a lot of the things to be able to deal with the Haka, specifically Illidan's and Arthas's, do pretty well, especially Illidan's. He doesn't have too much to consider.
Where's my boy Avatar?
He Towers of Doom. Not on maps like Sky, not on Dragon yet, not to Cursed Hollow 2. Like the traditional old school Avatar maps, it's yet to make it to some of those less popular, and which becoming more popular in the European scene. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but like, we have yet to see a double global commitment like a Avatar Dehaka, which is very Dig-esque. At all in North America.
Okay, all right.
If a team was to do it, it would be Roll20, I think. If I was to guess, it would be Roll20 or GFE.
Okay. We have Greymane at least, so Greymane, a little bit of a different approach here now, together with the Anu Barak. For Roll20, on the other hand,
yeah, that's actually a really surprising adjustment, because you asked about the Greymane on maps where he was really relevant, and I said he drops in value just in general in North America. Then on a map where it's not a bad map for him, it's a skirmish map, and Greymane's hella good at skirmishing, but I just don't look at it as like, you know what the map in North America is going to rise the value? It's going to be on Sky. Didn't think that.
We have the combo that you mentioned earlier for Roll20. We've been talking about the pick of Tassadar plus Arthas, and you said that Roll20 is one of the teams.
They were the first to do it.
Has done that consistently.
Ask me if I have the reasoning for it yet.
Do you know why?
No, because I used to think again, with the Tassadar survivability, the self-sustain, but we almost never see that talent picked up with him, even if it's paired with Icy Talents. And when it's paired with Icy Talents, it's never paired with Rune Tap. So what is the actual justification? I mean, don't get me wrong. Arthas is good at long sustaining team fights, and Tassadar helping you survive the burst, initial burst, and getting to that sustained fight makes sense. They've always been good together, but a synergy heavy enough to be like, oh, that's a Tass Arthas rotation, that's game. Never thought
basically you're sitting here saying, I need Roll20 to win the series so I can ask them in the interview what this is all about.
You know, they need to lose this one so we go to game 5.
Yeah.
And then they can win the next one. Yeah. So I can ask them.
All right, gotcha.
Either that or Naventic needs to call up Glarong and let me know the thought process. Call up Mike Udall, somebody out of the teams that we still see that trend, or we're beginning to see that trend.
Malthiel might not have won it for Naventic yet, but Roll20 is definitely starting to respect him here. So they are banning him out, saying, yes, we're not going to deal with that guy. But how is Naventic now going to run this? They have the Greymane here for the first time, so I have no real idea what to expect from Naventic at this point, to be absolutely honest with you.
I assume it's going to be... I was going to say an Illidan, but with the Arthas, is enough of the deterrent. I didn't think it would be Stitches.
No matter what I expected, it wasn't that.
Yeah.
Not from Naventic. I don't know. I don't know why, but after they've really just banked so heavily on the double support with the Tassadar banking into the Lunara and other heroes that they could support with the Greymane that they already have, I would have loved something around the, maybe an Abathar. You said it's really rare here, but having the double Greymane would have been great. Anything else that can really try to help him out, being even more dominant in those fights would have been fantastic. But them heading into a Stitches and a Malfurion, that was far from what I expected from them.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm not convinced. I've told you a little bit about my thoughts up in the Stitches. This is a map where I don't like him as much on things like Cursed Hollow, Tomb of the Spider Queen, for instance, are two maps where I get the Stitches, or Towers of Doom even. But on Sky, you could argue the fish in the barrel, but like for the most part, it's a still pretty easy thing to dodge. There comes out the Task Tracer here for Roll20. And what do we see from Naventic? How do you recover? Because right now, Roll20's got a really strong comp.
Yes, and how do you lock down that Tracer? The only thing that, like, you basically don't have anything. You can play around the Cocoon maybe and drop a root underneath it.
A backliner that can survive into the Tracer or hard locker down. I mean, I feel like it's going to be like a random Tychus or something.
If they didn't have the second tank already, I would have said try and play well around the variant here maybe. Even you already have the Greymane, so you can go for a blow-up comp against the tank front line and you can lock down the Tracer. But you already have a new Burak and Stitches, so that seems like a really, really bad idea.
So then, and you don't want to pick another support because you're never going to be able to kill her. Or and so what do you have to go with a backliner. Backliners that can trade into her or at least have the crowd control. None have the crowd control. I didn't think it was going to be the Li Ming. Like I said, it was either going to be, I thought it was going to be more of the Tychus. The reason I like the Tychus is because not only can you move into Neosteel Coding to be able to survive onto the Tracer blow up, he's one of the tankiest backliners to exist. He can Q onto the Tracer, make her a problem, and he's got follow-up bursts onto the Stitches.
If you switch the Stitches out for a variant, they blow up Arthas within a second.
They still, you know, can blow Arthas up between Cursed Bullet, between Li Ming's follow-up. I mean, they have the damage output to be able to make it a thing. It's just, is Tracer going to create too much havoc beforehand to get the prep to allow Stitches to get the hook? Because, I mean, it takes 32 seconds to get 2 hooks across.
Why does Dehaga have a yellow background, by the way? Nobody else.
I am absolutely positive that that is because he's hanging out at the beach, and that's the sun behind him. So I didn't
know that was on vacation. I had no idea. Where is he actually in vacationing?
In Valencia, actually. Yeah, he's hanging out.
Ah, yes, the global.
Yeah.
Right. He didn't know he had his up.
No, he'll be back soon. Apex Predator, he's post 20. Yeah, for the game soon-ish, which, you know, we're waiting to get into. But, you know, you actually, excuse me, my voice is dying. We're ready for game number 4. I believe we're going into Sky Temple. We have Naventic and Roll20, so let's get to it.
Didn't think I would get in on it, huh?
My voice is actually dying a little bit, so cut me some slack here, Calder. Zuna is going to be the new Burak here. We have Big Impact playing Li Ming. Tomster, as always, new for that support. He's going to be on the Malfurion B-Kid. representing the Stitches, Bikini Stitches with Zebra. Nice synergy going on there. And I Dream on the Grey Mane.
And to the right side, we have Roll20 in the lead with Glorang on the Tracer. We're seeing Justin on Arthas. Of course, we are currently seeing Goku again on the Dehakas on the last map. Prismaticism on Tacita. And last but not least, always the sad support, it's Buds on Rhaegar.
I know. We always put the players' names in order, so Buds is always last, and he's always a sad panda at the end of the trail. You know? Yeah. Can you imagine? What if that was you? How would you feel?
I feel, well, pretty good because mine is the last picture the audience sees.
So you're like the
most memorable.
You're the most memorable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does it make you feel better in your support role?
You know, I can see the argument being made. I don't feel the same, but I think that's a subjective thing. I'll give it to you.
You know, when you structure 10 arguments, you put the strongest argument always last because that's what the audience remembers.
I mean, that's like basics to like formal versions of debating, yes, but I mean, is that really something you're going to go as hardcore on your lower third? You genuinely believe that cross-translate? I feel like I went a little too.
Yeah. I'm just trying to come up with an excuse. That's all. I'm trying to make you feel better.
Oh, who needs to feel better might be Glorong, dropping a recall there.
But you should feel better. Supports were playing out of their minds here today.
I mean, absolutely. Yeah. Supports, you know, one day the world will realize supports carry the teams. I'm getting there. It's only taken about a year of yelling at everybody about how influential they are.
I only noticed you guys when I died and didn't get the heal.
Yeah, imagine that. it's how I try to explain it to people is supports and Heroes of the Storm are like film editors, right? You never really notice. Yeah. You never really notice when they're doing their job right, but you definitely know when they're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You immediately say after C4 editing, you're like, get this off my screen. This is disgusting. But the minute things are going good, you're like, oh, I didn't even know an editor. I don't give them any credit up until they caused a problem. Then, worst dude on the planet.
You get me to a point where I want to be your Trixler, where I want to be the care about right. I care about you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I now appreciate your support.
Soon Trick will be jelly. I'll be having texts all night about like what'd you do to Caldor in the downtime. I'm sorry, Trick.
Nah, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm just tired. So, oh, Glorong was eating that missile though. So right now we're having in the game a little bit of action happening while we are still bantering around here, but as you can see, you haven't really missed too much just yet. 0 kills on the board, but impressive as it is, we have right now Roll20. First of all, Glorong is really toying with fire here the entire time, but more importantly, they have a level lead.
He just doesn't care.
Yeah, he wants to die. At this point, he's asking for it.
I mean, yeah, like Glorong straight up, I don't think I've ever seen Glorong play with that little respect in my entire life. Like, and that's a dude who plays extremely offensive a lot for a long while. Yeah. He just flat out wore like 3 hooks in a row. It's just like, hey, I'll take it. Like, I don't care. I mean, I can understand the appeal, especially with the Tracer when you have the shield, but there was 2 times where he blatantly didn't have a shield. It was not going to be on cooldown, and BK was looking for the punishment. He stuck around, and nice availability there for Naventic. iDream found his way out of a tough spot.
I really thought he would get this after he was walking through the brush there, but not quite yet. So we have in terms of builds also, I feel for one of the first times that we've seen the Tacita, we actually see him with the extra leech on level 4.
Yeah, the Spectral Leech coming in, but it's going to be Death Coil there picked up at level 4 rather than focusing onto the Icy Talons, so it's not going to be able to see the Rune Tap Hyper Auto Attack
They don't give you that synergy, do they?
No, they don't give me that, and they also don't give me, there's a specific weird Gul'dan build that I've always wanted to see, and we haven't gotten that either. I mean, honestly, we know North America is obviously here to do my bidding and test weird things that I find interesting. I just don't know how we haven't gotten to that point yet. I got to send what I'm going to say is a stern email to my North American team captains.
Stern email. Please put me in CC. I want to read that email.
Please pick Icy Talons Rune Tap. Thank you. The pressure of the the Tracer Tacita up on bottom is surprising. This composition isn't one that you would say is good at sieging up. It's not good at pressuring objectives whatsoever, but just completely capitalizing on the lack of rotation on the side of Naventic.
Nice route. That's a great route here, but able to get out barely. He should have died arguably there. And right now it looks like Thompson might actually be the one biting the dust because Glorong is already sneaking in from behind.
Yeah, and there Goku gets the drag. Tracer moved up, nice wear of that pulse bomb. Thompson has 1 heal left with his mana, and that's it. He does survive, forcing even a recall out of Glorong. So yeah, Roll20, they ended up getting a pick and setting it 1-1, even almost dead experience here, but not maybe as much as we thought they would be able to pick up here.
Do you, by the way, think that Tracer is the absolute perfect hero for Glorong? Always fidgeting around, never standing still, always moving. It's like, it's so him.
It's kind of like him, especially behind the scenes. A lot of people, unless they get to know Glorong, maybe don't know that as well, but like the social butterfly that she kind of is in her trailer, she just goes, zoom, she's like, hey guys, and she's, zoom, what's up? And that's kind of Glorong. So yeah, I agree. You know, he's like in this social circle, and then he's over here, and you're like, this dude is, you know, the charisma you were referring to before.
A frog in a bubble.
That's a frog in a bubble. He's not as cute as Tracer. Can't give him that much, but about every other department.
But he has the same height.
Yeah. Bang, bang. Now shots converted onto the second ult phase. This is going to be essentially Naventic. They have to collapse and all in on this if they want to deal with it whatsoever, or they're not going to get the 10 fight realistically.
It's a pretty quiet game so far. Glorong the only death on the side of Roll20, but now he gets the shield once again, and they will hit that much earlier level 10, especially thanks to their Haka. Naventic needs to be super careful here at this point.
But Justin misses Howling Blast, which is a lot of the initiation, and now Glorong is on his own to be able to get that poke out. Tomster survived, so now it's up to Goku and Justin with the body blocks. Look at the damage on Goku though. B-Kid gets dragged in, he goes down.
He goes down, but the follow kill against Arthas. The 10s are there though, and the Ancestral immediately hitting here. Another one, Li Ming is dead, so is Anubarak. Roll20 is moving in. Glorong, he wants them, and he gets Malfurion. Follows it up with another kill against Dream. Drayman is dead. It's a team wipe. Glorong completely going ham on that team.
All right, so this is, you talked about it a little bit before. It's not as dramatic, but it looks a lot like last game. It feels a lot like last game, where Roll20 just starts to get a out-of-control lead.
Yes.
The difference between Tomb and Sky, you know, is the fact that the objective isn't, again, it's a lot easier to be able to identify win conditions. It's not nearly as intimidating. And Sky is actually, in my opinion, the hardest map to lose a lead. Like, it is built to, as long as you're ahead in experience and you're ahead in structures, it is your game to lose. And right now, Roll20 is so far ahead. Do they find a way to give up the same risks that they gave into the last game, where Naventic had a chance?
Yeah, I was pretty shocked that Naventic went in on that fight in the first place. They were so close to seeing Roll20 hit 10 that I thought, guys, it's time to move back. You can't stand in the middle of the fight. Roll20 took the battle before 10, which was in itself already a bit of a shock. But then Naventic thought they could actually win it. Past their opponent hitting level 10 was just mind-blowing. So right now, there's a massive lead for the red team, and I just don't see how Naventic is recovering from it, especially since Roll20 is now pushing the top. And the biggest thing on this map is the structural advantage that you have over your opponent, because these structures, the temples, are directly attacking the opponent's structures there, and they are doing fantastic with that.
So Naventic right now is going to try and abuse the fact that they have a double giant camp up on bottom, but they also don't have a global. So Roll20, they had the push advantage up on top. Zuna has to force this fight. 100% they need this fight, and if they don't get it, there's no way that they don't pull ahead. Those double giants on bottom are going to get insane value if nobody on the side of Roll20 gets back. Dahaka, though, will be the man on his way back. Justin receiving a bit of poke. Glorong goes in.
Parting Gift tries to move out, went way too deep, gets the cleanse. Great job here on the side of Rhaegar.
Twilight Dream drop by Tomster. Cleanse wasn't even actually needed there, so again, showing a bit of, you know, comfortability onto the new role. Goku comes in. Does he go for the drag? He waits, force wall. There it is, and B-Kid's out.
Wow. Bot lane, still the night camps, but we are 13 against 12 advantage, and Nubra gets blown up. 8 kills against 2, and Roll20 is looking strong, heading into a 2-level lead.
Yeah, that keep from wall there, picked up by those giants. That's a surprising amount of experience, and part of the reason Naventic has been able to reel their way back in a smidge. Now, the shots being transferred over to Roll20. They're ridding of the giants up on bottom as well. It's really just going to be wait for everybody on Naventic to get alive, then get to the same talent tier, and then stop the fight over the secondary shrine. Because that is what Roll20 is going to do. They're cycling this mid shrine. They're going to capture it all the way through. Then they're going to transition towards bottom. And that is really the fight that Naventic needs to win if they're going to redeem at least the structural advantage. Who cares about the experience? They need to open up this map.
Yeah, and they are already taking way too much damage here. Also, Arthas did not soak the last few shots from the mid-temple here.
It's Dahaka, because they know Dahaka can... Essentially, they're gaining more out of their 13 talents here, right? Because the Dahaka can be the one to move up. Granted, he's a bit slow. He goes for a burrow.
Doesn't, goes into the
Tomster.
back line. There's Justin missing the Howling Blast. They're moving in. They need to get Tomster here, and they will. He's down 8 seconds until Twilight Dream. Then he would have been in a great spot there, but with the cooldown not ready, he falls, and they attempt to go for Stitches. They get the drag in after the root, and that's another kill. It's a triple. Once again, Roll20 just getting one after another. They can go for boss. They can get the final shots on the temples. This is their game to lose.
Yeah, it's just an absolute slaughter. Every single fight, it looks like Naventic, you can see the thought process, but especially shout out to Roll20 for forcing that fight, because at first I was like, wait, not getting the shots, that's a risk, but once they identified Tomster's positioning, I mean, to be honest, preying on a guy on a new role alone, like that's a smart thing to do if you really need to win a game, but second of all is the fact that he had no ice block. You cannot stay alive through Arthas into Haka alone. You get 100 to 0. So you either early Twilight Dream and struggle, or you just pray that you survive and actually win the fight after.
They got the kills even with Justin missing the Howling Blast that initiated everything, so that alone tells you a lot. Already Boss moving through the bot lane. It's a 3-level lead, and again the talent advantage. Roll20 is in such a great spot to take the keep here, and they have now the Haka also on the temple at the bot lane. The keep here is going to fall 100%, and then they're going to put the extra pressure onto the one in the mid lane.
So now, with these shots, with the boss, it's going to be a keep down. Tazadar dimensional shift out. It's one of the top reasons why Tazadar used to be a pick just only into Stitches, or at least you would be like, oh, they have a Stitches, I'm taking Taz. It's just the less targets you have to be able to get a kill, the better it is to play against the Stitches. Dahaka, he's fine. Rhaegar should be hard to hit the hook. Taz Tracer, not going to happen. And Arthas is worst case.
BK eats the damage once again. Glorung is still there. Force wall. BK is so low. There we have the Twilight Dream again. That didn't do anything of consequence. And once again, they're moving in. Tuna is extremely low. This integrate comes out, but still a Nubarak falls. And Roll20 is rolling into the mid lane, trying to get the second keep here. Once again, the Force Wall isolating them, and BK low. The damage kills Stitches. The root against Greymane. It's another triple. They go for the keep, but at that point, I would have expected them to even just aim for the core.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't rotate on by, but they're going to play it a bit safer. Again, on a map like Sky, this is one of the only maps I don't actually hate you just playing it as safe as possible, because the map forces the win condition so consistently, and if you're winning the game this hard,
they have a 4-level lead and 14 kills to 2.
You just wait for the shrines and end it. Granted, I'm always down for winning the game as fast as possible. I think understanding what you can and can't get away with is a beautiful thing to be able to watch in competitive heroes. But if there's ever a map to see overly safe play, this is the only one. I'm just like, sure, go for it. Because really, what is Naventic going to do to be able to come back?
Especially with a global.
Yeah.
That's on top of everything else. You also have the global where you can out-rotate. You can either push with the Dahaka the bot lane when there's a temple, the opponent has to react. You force a 5 versus 4. But this is just absolutely fantastic what Roll20 is showing there. This is much more what I expected coming into the series before Naventic won this crazy first map that we had.
Yeah, and even the other games being a bit closer than I expected. iDream hit by the Pulse Bomb. Glorung is just making...
He's showing up at this point.
He really is. He's just diving on by. It's going to seal the deal there. Now the keep is going to be high focus and emphasis. It's dead. Can they end?
Keep is down, and that means you get the temple at the bot lane, the game's over.
Actually,
guess what? He's already at the bot lane.
I actually don't think this ends the game. I'm going to be honest. Like in a pure math world, nice force wall from Prismat. Feels like we've said that about a million times. Glorung, he's going to be able to rid of it. Just because one thing a lot of people don't know is that the shots on Sky Temple scale through time as well, like every other objective. And so at this late into the point, it doesn't actually do that much damage onto the core, but now they have gotten it. It's past 50. They've got to hawk up on the shots. It's inevitable. This is going to be it. Roll20 will be able to take out Naventic 3-1.
GG, well played. 16 kills to 4, 19, nearly 20 to 16 in levels. Roll20 takes the victory.
It's just a weird place to find ourselves, just because from an analytics perspective, I now still walk away with the same problem that I had when I walked in. Is I have no idea how good Naventic is. They came out the first game, they're definitely better. That's one thing I can say. I actually can say they're definitely performing better. Relative to the rest of North America, not sure, but at least in terms of their actual performance, they are a better squad than we saw in the first, or out of phase number 1. It's just, can they climb out of those 7-8 slots? You know, avoid any threat into the Crucible, get to be at least stable in towards the middle part of North America, because at times it feels like their play should be at that 3, 4, maybe 5 slot, but then other times Roll20 just goes and just stunts on him, and you're just like, how, you know, where is Naventic actually?
We have the same problem with a lot of the teams in Europe now as well, but for us it's really just the Saturday and the Sunday are going to show a lot how the standings are going to come to, because most of the teams have then at least 2, maybe 3 games, so you have a bit of an idea what's happening. But I can completely understand what you say here. You look at these games, with the background that you came from, you're saying, that didn't really tell me anything.
Yeah, especially with like a meta that we have right now too, when the meta becomes kind of where full offense and very burden of execution is a common thing to see in drafts. Suddenly you go, well, I have the very safe draft, and I have the one where you just win the video game as long as you do these things perfectly. And so suddenly it becomes like a, well, I think that they're the better team, but only if they can rely on specific power specs, right? Like the safetyness versus the execution, like Gale Force, I think, is a prime example. It's like, yes, your draft can always win, but you need to be able to make sure you do the things properly. Yeah, first map showed it. They're the better team, but then they can't capitalize. And so gauging the strength of teams, even for the meta, I think is naturally just harder. But then it's even worsened and amplified by the fact that, again, these roster swaps, the lack of consistency when it comes to results. It's not a bad problem to have. And you know what else is not a bad problem? Is going to be the fact that we have Glorong with us. Glorong, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. How's it going, guys?
It's going good. How's it going for you?
It's going okay.
Hey, you can go ahead.
I think hopefully we can kind of get over like the slump we've been in. I don't know what it is, but coming home after a LAN event, we tend to struggle online in the first couple of weeks, but hopefully we get through that.
Okay, so then kind of elaborating on that exact same concept then. So I think it's pretty apparent to say that there's a bit of a struggle within the team when looking at your guys' play from like mid-season brawl to the series that we just witnessed. So you guys feel like that's a bit more of like rather than trying to get comfortable with Goku, you feel like it's more of like a we just do this, because you're right. When you guys got back from the Western Clash, you had poor performances in week number 1 and 2, and you think that's just kind of a trend you have?
I honestly don't know the exact reason why it is, but right now with Goku especially, we're trying to relearn our identity as a team. I don't think, like game 1, for example, draft was wild. I pretty much threw the game with that draft. It was horrible. And then like game 2 and 3, we just had to like recover. But we're trying to find our identity as a team. And like with Goku being our newest addition, he's mechanically phenomenal player, opens up the draft. Like today we were able to run Alarak twice, and I've never been able to play that hero. So it's pretty cool. We just got to relearn our identity as a team, and I think we'll be strong.
Awesome. You got something?
Yeah,